Ever wonder how a massive, complex app, the kind with millions of users, actually gets built without just falling apart? Well, the secret isn't just about having brilliant coders. It's about having a rock-solid, structured plan. And today, we're going to break down that exact blueprint. I mean, it sounds simple, right? Building anything great needs a plan. But when we're talking about the complex systems that pretty much run our world, having a plan isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely non-negotiable. So let's explore the master plan that takes a little spark of an idea and turns it into a powerful working reality. And look, the stakes here are incredibly high. On one side, you've got projects without a plan. That road leads to chaos, wasted time, wasted money, and ultimately failure. But on the other side, with a plan, you get structure, you get efficiency, and you get a real shot at success. That's the difference we're talking about.
Okay, to make this super clear, let's use an analogy. Think about building a custom house. You wouldn't just show up on day one with a truck full of bricks and wood and start hammering things together, would you? Of course not. You'd start with a detailed, carefully thought-out blueprint.
Well, in the world of technology and business, that professional blueprint has a name. It's called the Systems Development Lifecycle, or as you'll almost always hear it, the SDLC. So what exactly is the SDLC? In a nutshell, it's a step-by-step, phased approach that guides a project all the way from a basic idea to a fully finished system. It's a very specific cycle of activities that make sure everything gets done in the right order at the right time. Now, you'll often hear this process called the waterfall method. And the name is perfect, really. Just imagine water flowing down a series of rocks. It can't get to the next rock until it's completely finished with the one above it. That's the core idea here. Each phase has to be totally done before the project can flow down to the next one. And there's a really good reason for this strict order. Fixing a mistake on a paper blueprint is easy, right? You just use an eraser. But fixing a mistake in the concrete foundation of a house, yeah, that requires a wrecking ball. This method is all about finding those mistakes early. So, the full waterfall has 7 distinct phases. It starts with identifying the problem, then figuring out requirements, analyzing needs, designing the system, developing the software, testing it, and finally implementing and evaluating it. It's a whole journey. But for right now, we're going to zero in on the first 3. Why? Because these first 3 steps are the foundation of the entire project. If you mess these up, believe me, the whole thing is going to come tumbling down later. All right, let's dive into phase 1. I like to call this the big why. Going back to our house analogy, this happens before anyone even sketches a blueprint. This is the part where you sit down and figure out why the family even needs a new house. Are they running out of space? Is the old one falling apart? What is the core problem we're trying to solve here? And you really can't overstate how important this is. Like the quote says, this stage is critical because nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to spend a ton of time, effort, and money building a perfect solution to the wrong problem. If you get this part wrong, everything that follows is just a massive waste. So what does an analyst actually do in this phase? Well, they get in there and take a really honest look at what's currently happening. They pinpoint the exact problems, not just the symptoms. They hunt for opportunities to make things better. And crucially, they figure out what the business is really trying to do. This is all about defining the mission and drawing the lines for the project's scope. Now, here's the key takeaway for phase 1. It doesn't end with just a bunch of vague ideas. No way. It ends with a very real, tangible document called the feasibility report. This report lays it all out: the problem, the objectives, the potential solutions, and this is the document that management looks at to make the big call. Are we doing this, or do we stop right here before we spend another dime? Okay, let's say management gives the green light. The project is a go. Now we waterfall down to phase 2, the human element. So back to our house. We know why we're building it. Now it's time to talk to the actual family members to figure out how they're going to live in it. Who cooks? Who needs a home office? How many bathrooms do we need? All that stuff. This phase is basically all about becoming a detective. It requires deep empathy and serious investigation. The analyst has to dive in and really understand the people who are going to use this system every single day. They ask all the classic questions: who's involved, what are they doing, where and when does it happen, how do they do it now, and that all-important question again, why do they do it that way? And this investigation, it goes way beyond just what buttons do we need. It's about the entire human experience. You're asking questions like, how can we make this new system easy to use, easy to learn, easy to remember? And you can't stop there. You have to ask, How can we make it, actually pleasing, or maybe even fun to use? Think about the people who are going to be staring at this thing for hours every day. Can we make that experience a good one? But ultimately, it all comes down to this question. How can this system truly support what the user is trying to do and make them better at their job? This is the real goal. Does it make them more productive? This is where the value is. And it's the analyst's job to dig in and find the answers to all of these human questions. Okay, phase 3. We've got our why from phase 1. We've got our who and our what from phase 2. Now it is finally time to draw the actual blueprint. This is the phase where you take all that stuff, all those business goals and human needs, and you translate them into a concrete technical plan. So how do they do this? Well, analysts have a whole toolkit of diagrams and models. For example, they'll create data flow diagrams, which are kind of like a plumbing map for information, showing how it moves through the system. They'll use sequence diagrams to show the exact order that things need to happen in. They'll even build something called a data dictionary, which is basically a master list that defines every single piece of data the system will ever touch. The whole point is to create a complete visual model of the system before anyone even thinks about writing a single line of code. Okay, let's zoom out and pull this all together. I really want to drive this home. These first 3 phases we've talked about, they are everything. They are the architectural planning, the structural engineering, and the interior design all rolled into one. It's all the critical work that has to happen before a single nail is hammered. This is the foundation for success. So, what are the big takeaways? First, you have to nail the why. You have to identify the right problem to solve. A project that doesn't have a clear purpose is, honestly, doomed from the start. Second, you need the who. You have to deeply understand the needs of the actual human beings who will use this thing. I don't care how technically brilliant a system is. If people can't or won't use it, it's a failure, plain and simple. And third, you absolutely need the how. This is that detailed blueprint we've been talking about. It's the plan that ensures that the thing you eventually build will actually solve the right problem for the right people. It's the bridge from vision to reality. And when you really think about it, this whole framework isn't just for building software. Take a second and think about any complex project in your own life. It could be planning a big event, starting a small business, maybe even just a big home renovation. I'll leave you with this question. What happens when you get the why, the who, and the how wrong right at the start? The SDLC isn't just a process. It's a powerful way of thinking about how to build anything that's meant to last.